Yeah, so it's been going on for a long time, and when I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, here are the questions I got in my head that I'm dealing with, and I'm trying to like configure. I'm like, okay, have these do have the politicians always known what these things are and been in communion with these things their entire careers, and that's why you get these like these skin suits that are still in politics for 90 years, and and are they getting something more out of it, and really they're taking their orders from these entities, these beings, whatever they would be, or are they just now discovering what it is that they've been messing with, and that they are they're kind of in panic mode about it, and that's why they're releasing information.
I get the feeling that it's kind of a combination of both of those things. I think there is like a weird deep cover sort of cabal of people that mess with dark magic, that know that they are in touch with entities. I don't know how much they know about the nature of what these entities are. But I mean, it goes back to Aleister Crowley and probably before him, like people like John Dee and stuff, who was a magician who worked with, what was it, Queen Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, and
Or
like, and
even
Aleister,
Kabbalists before that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that goes back probably as far as you can go.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Gnosticism and all that.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I spoiled it earlier where I'm pretty sure I'm I mean, my thesis is that these what we're calling aliens now are of a demonic nature, and I get that from Father Seraphim Rose and also other researchers like the Collins Bros, who we've had on our show, Charles Upton, who we covered some of his writing about it, and that's the angle that makes the most sense to me. And
And it's also that there's a mix of there probably is a lot of like government psyops going on, because almost certainly more than one government in the world has the kinds of technology that we would categorize as like flying saucers and like certain kinds of like traditional UFOs,
Mhm.
because the research on that kind of stuff goes back really far. Like, and there's been kind of like a smokescreen put over some of like the anti-gravitic research where it's like, oh, that's just all kooky stuff that no one's figured out. But there are papers from the 20s that talk about this. So like, at least when it comes to electrogravitics. And then there was a lot of like, there were well-known researchers like Dr. Ning Li. She worked for the Center for Space Plasma and Aeronautic Research, CSPAR, at the University of Alabama, Huntsville.
Mhm.
And in the 90s, she put out a bunch of papers. One of them's effects of gravitomagnetic field on pure superconductors. One from 92, gravitational effects on the magnetic attenuation of superconductors. So, and then she worked for the University of Alabama Huntsville for many years, and then immediately gets a grant for almost $500,000 to work for the Department of Defense. And then she doesn't ever release anything out again because she works for the Department of Defense. So, and so I saw a YouTube video that pretty much put it like, where did this missing physicist go? Like, she's missing, but the likely thing is that she worked for the government until she died a couple of years ago. So a lot of times when people do figure out certain kinds of research to do things like this, they'll just get pulled up for some kind of government research, and then people don't, and then those kinds of things they make look kind of silly in the public, where they're like, we don't know how to do that, but there are people who are working for governments figuring out how to do things like making force fields and making things levitate. So
yeah, and that we've already said so much, and that there's this weird nexus in this whole UFO phenomenon of like black magic, government psyops, and espionage, secret technology. It all folds together in this crazy like tangled web, and that's why it's hard to make sense of a lot of the time. But like the Collins Bros, like I said, we interviewed them on our show. They have this massive tome, Invoking the Beyond. It's like 1,300 pages, really well researched data and all this stuff, and that's their thesis, is that it's this like I said, this nexus of deep state spycraft and espionage, along with these weird black magic, demonic contacts. So and that's why there's so many different places to go with this. So I don't know what you want to dive into first.